Well, hello everyone. Thanks for joining me today at Juanette's Crafting Corner. In today's video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make the cover to this beautiful journal. It is fabric covered. The front has this beautiful fairy on it, and I made just kind of like a little bit of a dress for her using scraps. And then the closure is really nice. It looks very old and vintage. It looks like what you would have for a door. And it just, this little latch pulls up, and then this opens up, and then it opens up like that. And then you've got your journal within there, a back pocket, a place for me to put my message to whomever gets this journal. And then, like I said, it closes up like this. And all you have to do is lay that over it, and then this slips in, and that holds it closed. So what I'm going to do is show you how I made it and give you the dimensions for it. So what you're going to need is one piece of 7 inches, 8 inches by 7 inches. And the height of it is the 8-inch mark, and then the width is 7 inches. So this is your back cover, and then you're going to have 2 side covers, and they measure 8 inches by 2 inches, and those will be the side of the journal, and then your front of the journal that will open up like a door will be like this. They'll go like that. And they measure 8 by 3.5. So, like I said, you need one piece of 8 by 7 and pretty thick gray board. I think is what they call it in the UK, or cardboard. I use the back of the paper that I buy from Stampin' Up. They include this really nice cardboard, and also in their paper pumpkin kits. So 8 by 7 for the back. Then you need 2 side pieces that are 8 by 2. And then both sides of the front are 8 by 3.5. And then you're going to need some kind of a tie back. I use the leftover packages that I get from the post office when I receive mail. I just repurpose them. And that is 10.5 inches by 2 inches. 2.5, sorry. I've got my measurements right here. So 10.5, it's not writing on that, but 10.5 by 2.5. So we're going to glue these to form the journal. And what I start with is my back piece, and then I will lay a piece of tie-back on one side and then on the other side. And this is going to help keep your journal really strong, so that when you open and close those covers, they won't tear. The other thing that I have learned is by using fabric for my cover. Let's see what this, I'm going to turn this like that because that's a pretty dark color. and I don't want it to show through. I'm going to see what this side looks like. Yeah, that's kind of dark too. So if I turn it like this, I can hide that. Yes, I don't use cardstock anymore because it rips. So I like using fabric. So I'm going to take my Beacons 3-in-1 glue, and I'm going to start by just adding some glue. The nice thing about the Beacons, you've heard me say this 100 times before, is it does give you a little bit of wiggle room. And then I'm going to just lay that over it. And you want to make sure that you have, oh, maybe an inch, inch and a half on both the top and bottom. And this first piece, it doesn't matter if it's not exact. So then I'm going to do the same thing on this side, again at about that same area, all the way down. And like I said, we're going to be covering this with material fabric, so this part doesn't have to be perfect right here. And then I'm just going to slide that underneath there. And then just kind of hold that in place for just a moment. Then your side pieces, which are the 8 by 2.5, will go next. Now, they do have to be even with each other because you don't want, you know, one side to be way up here and kind of, you know, catawonky, cataswampy. What do they say? Catawampy? I don't know. Tell me how to say that. Off center. That's what you can say. Oh. So again, just add a little bit of glue here. And I do leave some space in here. That's going to be covered up, so it doesn't matter. So I leave, oh, maybe 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch. Sometimes what I'll do is I will take one of these and I slide it in, and then that way I know that I've got enough room on both sides. And then you can either take this or your ruler and just make sure that those are even, both the top and the bottom, that they line up nicely. And then, like I said, when I pull this up like this, it still has plenty of room to be at a right angle. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Just looking up to make sure you guys can see. And I'm just making sure that it says side. Again, I'm going to leave just a little bit of a gap. Then take my ruler and just make sure that they're even at the top and at the bottom. And then I just kind of pull that up and make sure that it has a little bit of room. And so I'm going to turn the camera off for just a minute and let this dry because I don't want it to move while I'm doing the next step. Okay, now that has time to dry, And so then I'm going to take another piece of that strong Tyvek, and I'm just going to lay it underneath there and glue that piece to this cardboard. And I can actually even just pull this up like this and put the glue on the back. And then one of the front pieces will go here. So again, just take some glue, leave about 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch gap, something like that. Lay it down, and again, like before, I'm going to bring that ruler in just to make sure that they're even. And if you cut each one at 8 inches, it's fairly easy to do. And then just make sure you've got your gap there so that you'll be able to bring this up and around like that. You see how that is? And so now I'm going to just slide this over here ever so slightly and do this left side. So again, just a little bit of glue. Bring your Tyvek in. And then we're going to bring this left side over. And just like before, make sure you've got a nice little gap there. Bring in your ruler. There you go, just like that and like that. So again, I'm gonna turn off the camera for a minute and let this dry, and then I'll be back with you. Okay, so now that that's had a little bit time to dry, I'm gonna bring these up and glue them. So what I do is I add just a little bit of glue in that little space there. You see right there? And that's when also this little tool comes in handy, because sometimes it helps you from getting glue everywhere. And then also you need your bone folder just to kind of bring that in there so that you'll still be able to bend that. So just bring that bone folder in there and rub it. And make sure that's down nice and good. Then I'm going to do this side again, just a tiny little bit of glue in there. Bring it in tight, because you don't want a lot of this sticking out, and then it make your cover be uneven. So see how that still kind of just comes up? That's okay. I don't mind that. I just want to make sure that this still has a nice indentation so that this can fold up. And just running your bone folder back and forth a few times will help that. So I'm going to go ahead and do the next 3 sides, and I'll be back with you guys. Okay, so now these are nice and dry, and you can see this is the back. As I bring these up, that's the side, and then this will be the front. So with those measurements, it gives you a really nice kind of a box journal with right angles. Now, what I want to do is adhere my fabric to it. And my fabric measures 11 inches by 21 inches. And what I'm going to do first is adhere this very back part so that it doesn't move around. Oh, and there's my washi tape, so I know where my my filming line is, but I think I'm in camera view. So I'm going to put some Fabri-Tac on here first. This is an adhesive for specific fabric, and it doesn't want to come unscrewed, so I'm going to go to my smaller bottle here. And like I said, I'm just going to put some here first on the very back page of the journal, because I don't want it to move, because I'm going to have to cut this fabric. And if this is adhered down first, then I won't mess it up. So again, Fabri-Tac just on this one area, and I can see where that's where my fold line is, and I want to make sure I have enough because I don't want it coming off. And a lot of people spread this around. Maybe I will a little bit. But I've really never had any problems with it bubbling up. Okay, so now I'm going to turn this over and kind of center it. That looks good. And lay that down and glue it. And let that sit for just a moment. Then I'm going to pick it up and make sure that there's no bubbles on it. Isn't this pretty material? As you can see, this is actually the way it's going to be. And I thought these butterflies, I bought this material when I was in Washington with my sister at a quilt store. And I thought it was absolutely beautiful fabric, and it reminded me of a fairy. And see, I only put the back on, and now I've still got my sides that can flip up, and I actually can glue them next. So I'm going to put the camera on hold for just a minute and undo that bigger bottle of Fabri-Tac so that more will come out instead of just tiny little bits. So hang on. Okay, so now I'm going to put some glue here. It might be easier if I turn it over. And I can see exactly where my glue needs to go. And I'm just going to do this panel first. Then I'm going to turn it over, and again, make sure that my sides move. And then I'm going to come over here to this side. and do this little panel right here. Glue is running down the edge, running down the sides there. That seems to happen when your glue bottle is getting to be empty. I'm almost done with this bottle here. See how when I lift it up, there we go. Oops, see? Got a wrinkle there almost. And I just spend time really pressing down hard on it so that it adheres well and that there are no bubbles or wrinkles in it. Looks like I got a little bit of glue seepage here, but sometimes if you just let that dry and then rub it, it just comes right off. Okay, before I finish gluing this part down, I take this little tool here, and it's a mitering tool. And when you put it right here on the edge, it's going to give you a really nice right angle. So I just lay that there. I don't know if that's, oh yeah, I can see it. It didn't feel like it was going through because of that mat. But it is, let's see, www.colorwayarts.com is where I ordered it from. And it is really a nice little handy tool. So I do it on all four corners, and this will help me cut off some of this material that I don't need. And you can see I'm using a pin. It doesn't matter because it's going to be cut off anyway. So like I said, I just do all four corners. Boy, sorry, that was loud. And then I take my fabric scissors and I trim those edges off. And these little bits of fabric are great for making clusters, fabric clusters and what have you. Okay, so now I can take my Fabri-Tac and finish gluing this completely down on here. So I'm going to turn the camera off and do that real quick. So I've gone ahead and tacked down this side, but I'm going to show you how I do this side, which is the bottom of the journal. So again, I just take some Fabri-Tac glue and run it all along the edge. I want to make sure that it's adhered well right at these corners. I may have to go get another bottle real quick. I think some of it's coming out, yeah. And I'm just going to run it all along the material. And then I even run a little bit down each one of these little indentations there, because I want that material or that fabric to go down into those little crevices there. Okay, I think that's good. And then I start in the middle and bring it up. And use my little silicone tool just to help me keep from getting my fingers so sticky. They still manage to get very sticky though. And then take my bone folder and just go down into those, what are those called? Indentations, but I don't know. I tell you, sometimes I just, especially in front of the camera, I forget my words. Oh, shoot. And I just keep running that bone folder through there so that eventually that glue will hold it down and not pop up. It'll be dry enough. And then I also fold it and bend it. So I've gone ahead and glued down this corner, and now I'm going to glue down this corner here. So again, it's pretty much the same, just your Fabri-Tac glue. And if the corners don't look perfect, that's not a problem, because we're going to be adding some corner protectors to the journal. I always like doing that. I get mine from Amazon. And again, I just use my silicone little, I think it's a makeup brush, just to bring this forward and help help my hands from getting too sticky. And on this side, we don't have to worry about any of that indentation. So that is done. And so then now when we turn our book cover over, our journal cover over, it's really nicely covered. And this is how it will look. Now we're going to be decorating all of this and the inside here. So now what I like to do is put on my corners. Again, I buy these from Amazon, and you know, sometimes they feel like they need to be just a tiny bit tighter. So I just take a pair of my hemostats and I just bring them together ever so slightly. And then they seem to fit a little bit better. So I have 4 of them. And the reason I like to put them on next is because I am going to be covering this area, and I want to make sure that I don't bring my paper too far out here and impede this. So for these, since it's going on fabric, what I do is I just put some of my Fabri-Tac glue down into this corner all along there, and I put, you know, quite a bit. I want to make sure it stays. And then I just put it over the corner and then just hold it there for just a little while so that it doesn't come off. So I'm just going to sit and hold this for a while, and I'll do the other 3, and then we'll proceed from there. Now, my corner protectors have dried, and so now I wanted to give you the measurements for everything else. So I went ahead and sewed in my signatures. I have 3 signatures, and I did the 5-hole pamphlet stitch. I've done a video on that already once before, and this measures, the piece that I sewed the signatures on measures 3 1/4 by 7, and that's going to go right here, in between here. It's going to be glued there. Then the piece that's going to go on this side is the same measurement, 3 1/4 across by 7 down. So signatures here, then this over here. Then I have a piece of fabric that will go over here, and this fabric measures, let's see, I think that, well, I guess I could just grab a ruler. I know I wrote it down, but who knows? Well, it's definitely 7 inches long, okay? Oh, silly girl. It is 6 1/2 inches in width. So that's going to go here on this side. And then this panel here on the far right, which is where I will put the bottle with the message. And I'm going to show you how I do that. Here is the bottle with the message. And this panel here is 6 1/4 by 7 inches. So every single one of these that are going to go on the inside is 7 inches in height. Okay, got myself organized. I just wanted to make sure I'm not making any mistakes. So what I figured I would do first is glue my signatures here to the panel. And I have marked on this piece of cardstock where these ridges are, so that I'll line them up exactly. So again, this is 3 1/4 across by 7 inches in height. I did a 5-hole pamphlet stitch to stitch in the 3 signatures. So I'm going to take some Fabri-Tac glue and put it all over the back here, and then lay that down, and I will be putting some clips on it to make sure it holds in place and dries well. In about another week or so, I'm get to go take care of my grandkids. I have sweet little Miss O. I call her Miss O. Her name's Olivia. And she is going to be 14 pretty soon. Then I've got my sweet Gavin. If you look at my earlier videos, I did one video called Crafting with Gavin, and we made Christmas bows. He is 11 or 12, and then I've got Judson, who is 9. So it is going to be fun to watch them. Okay, got all my Fabri-Tac there. I'm going to stand up so that I get it placed correctly. And thank goodness with this Fabri-Tac, it's almost like the 3-in-1 glue. It does give you a little bit of time. Yeah, there we go. I think we're good there. I want to make sure I've got plenty of room here. I think I'm going to go up just a tiny bit. Yeah, so it's more even. Oh, yeah, because my signatures will be hanging off. See, isn't that fantastic with that glue? Gives you more than enough time to put it where it needs to go. I'm just going to wipe a little bit off there. There we go. And then I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm going to do like I did before and just kind of run that through there. Same thing on this side, this left side. And that's so that cardstock will be able to bend there. And then I like to go in between the signatures with my finger and press that down. There we go. Oh, I think this came out nice. Very good. I thought I might have to put some clips there, but I don't think I'm going to have to. It seems like it's sticking down very well. Just go over here again real quick. Yeah, fantastic. And then let's bend it up and over. Oh yeah, that's nice. Very nice. Sometimes it takes a little bit to dry. Don't be in a hurry. So what I'm going to do is let this dry before I add any more. And you see how I've got a little bit of glue right in there? If you have one of these glue erasers, that will just pull that off without any problem once it dries. Okay, while the signatures are drying over here on the left-hand side, I'm going to work on this side. And again, this right side measures 6 1/4 by 7 inches. And what I want to do is I want to kind of line it up there. Make sure it's going to fit well. And my bottle is going to go here, right in between here. It's got to be able to fit in there. So what I do is I line it up so that, oh, it looks about even, because then this is going to go over it. Oh, I was like, wait, that is, I got that too short. No, it goes like that. That's why. She's kind of laying down or standing up or something. But anyway, I'm off on a tangent. Okay, so I'm going to lay this about where it's going to go. And I suppose I could work at trying to be a little bit more exact, but it's going to be covered, so it really doesn't matter. So just at about like that. And I want to make sure yeah, I've got a little bit more room down there, but it doesn't matter because there's a little bit more room down here than up here. But it doesn't matter because I'm going to put a pocket or something here. So I lay it where I'm going to glue it. And then I run my bone folder down where it's going to lay in those little grooves there. So I know that that's right where those are going to need to go. And I just bend them up just ever so slightly. And that's going to go right like that, okay? Then I take my elastic, and I think I showed you on the last journal I did, which was the ocean journal, where I just take, oh, it looks like maybe an inch thick or width of elastic, and then I just take whatever colors I'm going to use in the journal and spray them with some of the Tim Holtz Distress inks. And so that's going to go there. And then this is going to go here. So what I do is I just put a tiny bit of glue here first, and just to tack it down. And then I run my sewing machine over it several times to hold it down in this place first on the left-hand side. So let me go do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so like I said, I ran and stitched this side down, but this side is not stitched yet. So what I do is I bring my bottle in so I can kind of know about where it needs to go so that it doesn't fall out. See, that's a little bit too loose. So I just bring it. Actually, I think I might even run another stitch down there on this left side. And if I run a stitch there and there, I think it might be okay. So let's put this, so we're going to put that there. And I want it in the center. So you just got to kind of hold it close to each other. And I'm just going to run like a, you know what I do need? No, never mind. Never mind. I think I'm just going to make a tiny little mark there. And another little mark here, because I want it to be a little bit on the tight side, because I want stitches there too. So I'm going to go to the sewing machine, run a stitch here, and run a stitch here. And again, because it can be stretchy, you could, you know, even pull it a little bit further. So I'll be right back. Okay, so now I've run the other side with a stitch there, and so when I put my bottle in here, it stays and doesn't fall out. So then I will be gluing this to this back side here. So why don't I just go ahead and do that now? So I'm going to again use my Fabri-Tac glue. And I'll be putting some kind of decoration there. Wasn't this pretty on the back? Oh, this whole paper pack is just very stunning to work with and very easy. And then pretty soon I gotta go back to work too. I really enjoyed not working and being able to stay at home. Alrighty, I think that's good enough there. And again, I'm gonna kind of stand up so I can make sure I have it at about the right spot. And you see here, I'm running it down through those grooves there and through here, and have it even across here. So and like I said, there's going to be some pockets over here That'll cover that up. We're going to have our fabric here on this left side. Okay, so I've gone ahead and glued the fabric piece down to cover that. And I went ahead and glued this left panel. And remember, it was 3 1/4 by 7 inches. So the inside is done for now. Of course, I'll be decorating the pages and what have you. But to now work on the very front, I take little clips and close it so that I can work on the front. And it will be held together before I put the clasp on. Okay, so these two pieces measure 7 1/4 by 3 1/4. And they are going to go right here on the front of the journal. And then what I did is I took some material and I just tore a bunch of it in kind of the colors that are here. And I sewed them together. Let me show you the other one that I did. This previous one, I did the material just in layers. But in this one, I wanted it to be a little bit more frayed and look very fairy-like. I don't know, whatever. So what I'm going to do is set this aside. And what I did is I take a craft knife and I just make a slit in there. And I don't want it to be on that mat. Sorry about the glare. Let me turn that off for a minute. So I just take my craft knife and see where I want to put this in here. And I just run my craft knife along where the little belt is. And then I kind of go up just a tiny bit and around so that I'll be able to slip that material in there. You see how that, I cut that out. Oops, let's bring this back forward here. Okay, so I cut that little piece out, and then what I'll do is just slide this in, and if it's a little bit big, I'll just trim it off, because I'm going to be putting some lace across it to kind of hide. Let me just kind of snip this over my wastebasket so I don't have to pick everything up. You know what they say, with crafting, you can always fix something. So I'm just going to come up a little bit more and make it a little bit wider for that to fit in. Because I can always cover it up with some trim or lace. Okay, I fixed it. What I did is I just kept cutting that until it got big enough for me to slide this in. And so then I'm going to glue this to the back here. And then I will cover it with some ribbon or lace or something like that. So I'm just going to hold this in place, and I might even put a clip on it so it's really nice and secure while it holds it down and glues. There we go. That's nice. Okay, that'll be perfect. And then I will just take maybe some of this ribbon and run it across. So while that's drying, I'm also going to show you what I did for the little flowers. Now, you see the flowers here. They're kind of a pinkish in color, and I liked more of the purple color. So I have these little flowers that I got from Hobby Lobby, and I took 2 of the white ones and took some of my alcohol ink pens. Is that 2 of them? Yep, there we go. And colored them, and then put some Wink of Stella on there to make them shimmery. Some of these are already a little bit shimmery here in this pack. Let's see if I can find one that's got some sparkle on it, but I could always add more. Yeah, we'll just add this one here. Oops. There we go. Yeah. So I'm going to color these, let that dry. Go ahead and put the lace across the waistline, and then I'll be back with you guys. Okay, I'm going to be daring here, and I hope I don't ruin this. But I like this gold, like, trim here. So I'm going to poke a hole here. Let me grab my, where'd it go? Oh, there it is. The thing that I use to sew all my signatures in and what have you. But I just want to make sure I don't have too big of a needle, because I don't know if I want that hole that big. I can always put a flower over it to cover it up. Let's see if we can get this in here. Perfect. Okay. Now we're going to bring it through here. Come on, baby. Come on. I need to get my thing to grab a hold of it. Please don't make too big of a hole and ruin it. It's just sliding. It's probably because I got all that dang chalk. Ooh, 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 there we go. I got a bunch of chocolate. Chocolate on my hand. Okay. Alrighty. Now, I'm going to pull that off. I don't think I want it to go. Yeah, I do. I got to poke a hole, another hole, because I do want it to go through. But the hole's not that big, so I think we're okay. There we go. Okay. Alrighty. And I think I'm going to go about there, because I can always cover some of it up with the flower. Here we go again. Oh, I can feel it coming through. Alrighty. Okay. There we go, Hewitt. Okay. There. And like you've heard me say before, oh, tongue was hanging out. While I'm concentrating. Okay, let me pull some of it through. I don't need all that much. There. Okay. I kind of like that. Yeah. By the time I put the flowers on it and what have you. So I'm going to bring it down just a little bit and glue the flowers. And then I'll be back with you guys. So I have a horrible confession to make. I believe that when I left off with you guys, I had glued this and glued this and glued this in. And then I had turned off the camera because I needed to go pick my son up from work. And when I came home, I thought, oh, okay, well, let's just finish crafting. And I just started crafting like I normally would without even thinking of recording what I was doing. So I'll explain what I did. Now, I think I showed you this and how I put a slit through here and then kind of put the material in there. But I added this on top of it. I had thought, remember, I was going to put this gold over it, but I didn't really like it as much as I did that. And then I think I told you about dyeing the flowers. They were white, and all I did was take my Stampin' Up! The dark Highland Heather and colored a couple of those flowers so that they turned purple. You saw me, I think, struggle to get this thread through here. I was using a needle and I threaded through there and just kind of made it like a little adornment. And then I glued, I put texture paste, and this is the Tim Holtz Ranger crackle paste. I used that with the Stampin' Up! Stencil of bricks, and I put that on there, and then I just took a little bit of the Vintage Photo re-inker with some water and a paintbrush and kind of darken that area there. And then I put these down, and what I did is I should have put the paper down and then these over it, but it still worked out okay. You just need to make sure when you do it, I put my little clip here. Let me bring it down so you can see. I put a clip there to hold it shut, and then I put glue on both sides of the metal and then put them down and held them there for a while until I was sure that they were pretty secure. But what I should have done is put this down first. But as most of us do when we're crafting, I was able to solve the problem, because what was the problem was this paper came up over there. And so I ended up just cutting around it. This one I laid down, a spare one that I had, I laid over this paper here, traced around it, and then cut it. This one was a little bit more difficult because I had her dress here, but I still was able to cut it and then get it glued down. And again, I think I used Fabri-Tac glue, so it turned out, I think, just fine. This right here is some ribbon that I had bought at Hobby Lobby, and it's just a satin ribbon. I laid that down, and then I laid, this was some ribbon I think I got at Hobby Lobby that I've wrapped around a little card there, and I put that over the top. So this is almost done, with the exception of, I am going to go ahead and put this butterfly here. Now, these butterflies I bought at, I believe they are at Michael's, and they are 2 layers. But a video a while back, I showed you guys how I made this paper with some of the Stampin' Up! Gold foil, and it was purple tissue paper on top of some wax paper, and I believe with Mod Podge, and then the gold flakes, and then just a little bit of glitter on top of it. So I had some of this paper left over, and I took a Stampin' Up! Punch and punched out another butterfly, and then I laid it over the top. So I actually have now a 3-layer butterfly, and then I just took some of the little embellishments from Stampin' Up! They're just little black little embellishments, and put them there. So then the last thing I need to do here to the front is adhere this butterfly. So I apologize that some of the front of the journal I forgot to turn the camera on. Like I said, I went to go pick my son up from work. He lives with me, which I'm extremely thankful for. It would be very lonely if he wasn't here with me, and I appreciate he really takes good care of his mom. So I don't mind going and picking him up from work. So anyway, let's put this down now. And I think I'm just going to kind of put it on an angle there, and then just hold it down for a minute until it dries. And I'm not sure what else I'm going to do here with this. I maybe will do a flip through. I don't believe I'm going to film any of the pockets or embellishments that I do on the inside. I just want to kind of get this, I just kind of want to get this journal done. I've made, like I said, 2 of them. One, I think this one I will keep, and then the other one I'm gonna sell it. I don't know if I told you guys, but I did sell both of my ocean journals, so that was really cool. But anyway, I'm gonna sign off right now here, and then I might be back just to conclude the video. Depends on what I decide to do with this, but we'll see you guys in a little bit.